So welcome back to this 5-part series with regards to the Alien and Predator movies. In this 4th part we are talking about the AVP Alien vs Predator movies from 2004 and 2007. Now this one gets a little bit negative at times because these were kind of a lower point in the franchise, but they are a part of it nevertheless, whether or not you regard these as canon or not. They are still something that came out, and we've got plenty to say about them, so here it is, enjoy.
So, the last 2 videos we talked about the Alien quadrilogy, and then we talked about the 4 Predator movies, the 4 standalone cinema-released movies. This one, we're going to talk about Alien vs Predator, AVP 1 and 2. It came out in 2004 and 2007, from memory.
Pretty sure we went to the cinema to see both of those, didn't we?
We did, yeah. We kind of liked them for what they were at the time. It was the novelty of it, I think, was really well. You know what kind of grabbed us. We've had this conversation a few times between ourselves, haven't we? I think me and you were both in agreement that first one is the best one.
Yeah, the first one, it kind of comes from that period where I don't know, just films felt really fucking short. It was just this period, like around. Like I say, AVP sticks in my mind as one of them, and Terminator 3 and Jurassic Park 3. Just like these films felt really short, like they were missing something. I don't know if it was the pacing or what. Like I know they all didn't come out in the same kind of era, but it's always just like, okay, did we just get like the cut down, like release for TV version? Is the director's cut somewhere? Like it feels like we're missing something here. This film feels way too fucking short.
Yeah. Of course, there were extended cuts that both got released on like DVD at the very least. Although I don't know if the Blu-ray actually includes the extended cut of one of the 2 films. I forget which. I don't usually revisit these when I'm rewatching the Alien movies. I tend to, if I'm going to miss any out, it's usually Alien Resurrection and the 2 AVP movies. But yeah, at the time, I think, like I say, I kind of liked them more than I do now. They haven't aged very well.
I think I wasn't a massive fan of the first one. I think it kind of spoiled me that I'd seen like what it's based on. Like I'd read the AVP comic, which is a much better kind of story. Whereas this is more like somebody came up with a cool idea of like, oh, like an ancient like Aztec pyramid, but it's under the ice. Whoa, how did it get there, kind of thing? And it's like, okay, but it doesn't feel like there's much else to go with that. Like, you've got like a massive cast of characters. Most of them die off almost immediately without really contributing anything.
And they're very forgettable as well. I tended to find with that first film.
There's like Dead Meat 1, Dead Meat 2, Dead Meat 3, Dead Meat 4. You know, it's like going on. There's only really like the strong chick, the archaeologist idiot, like the chick with the gun, and Peter Bishop that you kind of remember. Or no, what's
Charles Peter Wayland?
Charles Wayland. Yeah, you know the one I mean.
Yeah, I can't remember his full name, but I had Bishop in there as well. Cause the implication in that film, which I did like, the direction that they'd gone in, obviously it's kind of been abandoned with Prometheus and Covenant and so on, was that Charles Peter Bishop Wayland, whatever the hell he's called. I don't know if you've maybe
I'm most certainly getting mixed up with another character from something else who was Peter Bishop, and I'm getting them fucking
Peter
mixed
Wayland. Up. Yeah, Peter Wayland was the guy in Prometheus.
And the Android version of him is Bishop, so I've just combined the 2.
Yeah, Charles Bishop Wayland. Yeah, I think that was what it was called in AVP 1. Yeah, played by Lance Henriksen. The implication being that he designed the android, or one of his offspring did somewhere down the line. Because AVP 1 and 2, I think, are both set in 2004 specifically, and they are back to back. One follows the other, which was quite nice. But obviously, that first film, it was very toned down. I think it was like PG-13 in the USA, and it would have been like a 12 certificate in the UK, I think, maybe a 15 a push. And you did definitely feel that. So anytime the aliens were going to like kill somebody, it just kind of cut away. And it wasn't even done like in the shadows. It was kind of like it literally would take you away from that scene so that the children didn't get too scared. And it's like, this isn't what this franchise is supposed to be, really.
Although unfortunately, the message they took away from like the original film was right. It needs to be gorier in the second one. That was the only problem with the first film. It's like you guys have kind of missed. There are other problems.
The issue with the second film, I think, was that they pushed it too far. It was like you've always said, the way you describe it is the best way. It was mean-spirited, a lot of the things they do in that film.
I mean, there are times in that film where like a classier movie would have cut away. But this is like, no, we're going to show all of the like gore and guts. And it's like, this just feels fucking like try hard.
Yeah, just like little bits, like where you've got like pregnant women getting killed, and like the chest bursters are like coming out of like where the baby would be, you know, like in the stomach and stuff. And it's like, that's like just gore for the sake of it. Obviously, this was in the era of films like Saw, so it didn't really require any imagination like the original Alien film kind of gave you that. I mean, there was like gore in that as well, but it was an imaginative gore. Whereas this was just like stabby, slashy kind of thing. Didn't really work.
And plus, that is like a weird and completely unheard of section of the fucking alien law where, like, if you're pregnant, the alien can come and put something down your throat, which will interact with the unborn fetus and turn the unborn fetus into like an alien, and it'll chest bust out and be like, what the fuck even is that? Like, seriously.
Yeah. I mean, there was some like creepy, like disturbing stuff in the comics as well. Was it like Dr. Church? I think was something that he did a lot of experiments stuff in the comics. There's like graphic stuff in there, but again, that was like inventive. It wasn't just like, we're gonna gut a pregnant woman. It's like, that's just nasty and mean spirited.
Yeah.
But the first film, anyway, they took ideas that seemed like unused ideas from the original Alien, where they find a pyramid. Obviously, that was something that they were going to do in that original Alien film from 1979, which they again revisited when they did Prometheus and kind of reused that unused. So if you watch AVP 1 and Prometheus, especially like the beginning bit where you've got the people kind of, you know, they're on like the... sort of looks like a loading bay type thing, and then the big manager comes out and speaks to them all and says, this is what we found, we're going to investigate. It's very similar if you watch AVP1 and Prometheus, because a lot of that kind of came from ideas from the original Alien film, and they go to a pyramid similar to in Prometheus as well. But obviously there were computer games as well for Alien versus Predator, as well as comics that they were kind of based on.
Yes.
You kind of get that feeling when you watch.
Seem to miss like some of the like cooler elements of the like comics, just like the characterization of like the Predator in those, where they like use the kind of like, you know, the things you've seen in the first two Predator films, where it's learning like words, but using them kind of out of like context, and it was doing that to like have some kind of like vague back and forth between like the Ripley stand-in and the Predator, so there's actually some kind of communication between the two, which is one of the cooler things in the comic, because it is pretty like badass. They just completely cut it out for no reason. It's like, why didn't you do that? Like, it wouldn't have been hard. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it was a bit of a shame. But obviously, one of the kind of interesting things that they did was you had the Pred alien, so it was an alien that's kind of come out of a predator, so it has the characteristics of being a predator whilst being an alien, and it was quite nasty. But like Mr. H review says about this film, if you think you've seen this film, you haven't, because you can't actually see anything. Everything is like so dark, like excessively dark, and it's just very difficult to watch because you can't see. Even if you turn the brightness on your TV right up, you still can't really see much of what's happening. It's a very interesting decision to make. This is AVP 2. And obviously there's that bit as well where there's like a soldier in the street who kind of goes up to this car to like investigate it, and an alien literally just kind of steps up right beside him. So basically he just walked right past it and he must have seen it. It's kind of dumb.
I mean, it kind of makes sense when you're in like an alien hive and all the walls are like weird and covered in that like fucking resin shit. Because then they've got like a natural sort of camouflage.
That was
or if it's tucked in amongst like pipes and tubings like it is on the Nostromo. If it's just lying in the middle of the street, like what the fuck is it camouflaged against? Like what the hell? Yeah. You just got no peripheral vision, buddy. Like what the hell?
Well, there's that time when Buff went round to Topher's house and there's all like gooey sort of stuff on the wall, and Topher was just there with his tubes and piping.
I mean, there was also that time when Topher was having a bit of a heart attack and Buff walked past him and he was like, "Don't turn your back on me." And then he jumped up and like got Buff in the face with something.
Yeah, that's that bit in Alien versus Predator, in it, with Lance Henriksen, where he gets killed off. Yeah. So yeah, obviously, like I say, AVP 2 follows on directly after AVP 1, so both of these are set in the modern day, and it kind of changes a bit of the idea that these aliens are out there if they're on Earth the whole time. Granted, they're kind of like frozen underground to begin with, and then they come out. It would have been interesting to see that, you know, that's where Weyland-Yutani, the corporation, gets the idea that there's something out there that is crew expendable and that they need to investigate it and put these clauses in people's contracts that if they find anything out there at the arse end of space, they have to investigate it because they've encountered this thing before. But it's generally regarded as being an Elseworld. These two movies are generally regarded as not being canonical with the sort of main thread of the Alien and Predator movies.
Yeah, because there's even a bit at the end of the second one where it's like the Yutani Corporation have got their hands on like a Predator like shoulder cannon.
Yeah. Yeah, so you've got like the Weyland Corporation, which kind of wearing their t-shirt today with the logo on it, building better worlds. Every now and again you'll see somebody with like a t-shirt with this on, or you had one with, was it the Nostromo, I think it was, at one point, didn't you?
Yeah, I think I've still got it somewhere. But yeah.
Well, I was getting my boiler done recently. The guy was wearing a Soloco t-shirt as well. So yeah, whenever you see one of these things, a bit of a nod to that person. But yeah, we'll cut this short anyway, because there's not much to really say about these movies other than the fact that they're fairly, I wouldn't say totally forgettable, but a missed opportunity.
I mean, even stuff like the cool stuff like, the Predator Alien, they just took that from the comic books. Like, that was the thing in the comic books. You know, It's like, you didn't really have any original ideas. I mean, sure, the second one's got slightly better characterization. I've got like a bit better idea of who the fuck everybody was in that film. But again, it just comes down to kind of missed opportunities and kind of like a lame swing and a miss, if you get me.
Yeah, and it just the second one felt a lot like a Friday the 13th sort of teen slasher movie, but with aliens and predators, which is an interesting concept. But it just didn't really work. So yeah, we'll leave it there then, if that's all right with you.
Yes.
So we're going to come back tomorrow. We're going to talk about, we're going to wrap this whole thing up for this. We're going to talk about the Prometheus and Alien Covenant, the two movies there, and maybe talk a little bit about some of the other directions that they might have gone in with Alien 5 with Neil Blomkamp. We'll just kind of wrap it up with that, and then we'll be back the night after that, which will be Halloween, and we'll be talking about something as yet undisclosed. So, but it's not Alien or Predator related. So, right, we'll end it there. Thank you very much for watching.
So that was our AVP retrospective. Tomorrow we're going to conclude this part of our Halloween season special by talking about Prometheus and Alien Covenant that came out in 2012 and 2017.